What about now? Hmm. Okay, now you can hear it? Okay, I had to change my microphone settings for some reason. It defaulted me to a different microphone. So I would have been here on time. However, I wasn't. I was 5 minutes late because there was a traffic jam at the courthouse. And I'll show you why. We had so last night when I set these up, I I thought that I had turned the chat off, but I guess I didn't. And so we had campers blocking the way to the courthouse this morning. And so they ruined everything. They were camped out in front of everything and they made a mess in front of the courthouse. And so that's why I'm 5 minutes late. 80s Music Man set up a tent. And what kind of tent would 80s Music Man have if it wasn't for all of his loud 80s music blaring and his speakers and his boombox? So 80s Music Man set up a tent. And then Chevelle Leathers and Lynn in SC, they don't do tents. They don't do tents. So they're in their RV and they brought their little chairs and they set up their little fire. And Lisa Wilmot's a little bougie, but we love her anyway. So Lisa Wilmot, she doesn't do tents or RVs. She built herself a whole cabin and she's out here chilling in the hot tub. So so that's why I'm late, because y'all were blocking the way to the courthouse. Showing up early for jury duty. So I appreciate y'all showing up early, but y'all y'all are blocking the way. Y'all are funny. So that's your first in chat. I did not realize that I had left the chat on last night. I thought I turned it off so that I wouldn't have to be too worried about it, but yeah. Welcome. Glad you're first in chat. Thank you. Today is a big day because we have a few things going on. We're live in the courthouse, but they haven't started yet. So we'll go ahead and kind of just watch what they're doing for now. The uh, hearing this morning is for a couple things. So today we are going to find out, is Austin Ford going to be sentenced today for the 3 convictions that he received, or is he going to be tried again for a third time, since the first 2 ended in hung jury? That was the first in chat. Those were the first, the campers. Were there more? Those were the ones I had from when chat opened last night, the campers. 80s Music Man, are you just now getting here? 80s Music Man? You're in so much trouble. You blocked the courthouse this morning and then you overslept in your tent. Um, I the camera moving is a little bit too much. Okay, so you saw, just making sure you saw your tent. They need to chill on the camera. They're making me a little bit. All right, hold on. I'm gonna try my microphone thing again. Tell me. I don't know what's going on with my mic. Early morning problems. All right, let's see. Cameraman has had too much coffee this morning. Ooh, earthquake in the courthouse. Email says, I hope they don't retry this, not because I think he is innocent, but they don't have enough to convict. I agree. I don't think they have enough to convict. Mhm. Sherry says, 80s Music Man, I hear your music in England. Way too loud. Yeah, when I was trying to get that was my tent music. When I was trying to get the graphic done, um, oh, this is this is the other reason I'm late. So yesterday, let me show you. I didn't get them all, but in the podcast and the website and the graphic and everything else, I'm getting done everything I can. But I did make some additions to the calendar. I didn't get a chance to do them all, but I did make some additions. So we saw these yesterday. All right, so the additions that we have for today, we have Miss October, Kendall Danowski from Taylor's to Business Trial. She was the cell data expert. We have Miss November, Heidi Perlay, defense attorney, of course, for Travis Rudolph. Diane, I don't know this one, so I might say it wrong, and I'm sorry. Diane Minish Minishay? Minishy? Minishay? I don't know. Defense attorney for, William Hussel and Matt Moore trials. She's not one I'm familiar with, so I'm probably saying it wrong, and I'm sorry to her. But she made Miss December. And Miss January, uh, we have Jessica Dwyer. She is the medical examiner in the Darren Rubin Lopez trial. So we got those added for the trial mamas. And then I did get a trial daddy added as well. So many keep scrolling until we're at like 2043 at this point. Oh, here we go. I got one of the trial daddies added. Mr. December 2024, Zach Wichow, Chow, prosecuting attorney for Daryl Brooks trial. I don't even know how to say his last name, but he got added. So, I did not get all of them added, but I did, I did get done what I could get done. And I will get some more added as we go. Which sounds like a karate chop. I, also, for those of y'all, we were talking about it yesterday with the podcast. I got episode 2 done. I think it will be uploaded today, soon, and then, I'll have episode 3. I am going to try to get it done today since I'll have a little bit of a break between this and, um, and the time trial starts in a few hours. I'm gonna try to get it done in between those few hours, so we can have episode 3. So episode 1 was, of course, the history of the widower, Thomas Randolph, and the, uh, episode 2, the one released today, is, about the first trial, all of the pretrial hearings, and then the opening statements. And then episode 3 will be the first, summary of the first 3 days. Paying my lunch money. Thank you, thank you. Oh, I haven't even turned my sound and stuff on. Hold on, I have to come out of this one. I can't do for whatever reason, Chrome, when I try to watch on Chrome, it is it, like, freezes and it does that loading thing. I could not figure out why it does that because my internet is so fast. But then I realized it has nothing to do with my internet. It is because of Google Chrome. So I forget sometimes when I have it open in Chrome. I have to change it back over. All right. So it looks like I'm really unprepared this morning, but if y'all had any idea how much I've gotten done this morning on everything, I woke up early, took Lucy out, and then started working again, and then didn't finish working last night until really late. So it looks like I'm really unprepared this morning. And of course, I'm having audio issues apparently. Let me see if I can figure out the audio issues. There's one of them. All right, before they start, let me see if I can mess with some settings and see if I can figure out why. Why? Testing, testing. Does this sound any better? Okay. Let's see if that helps. See how long it lasts. Good. All right, I think I've got it fixed. I don't know what happens. I just go with it. The 80s Music Man picks up tent and lets traffic through now. Thanks. About time. Michelle Jones, member with us for 2.
What? Did we just become best friends? Yep.
2 whole months being besties. We are glad you're here. Michelle Jones says, I love this channel. We love having you here. We love having you here. Oh no, the video from yesterday is missing. Uh-oh. Let me see if I can find it. What happened? Apologies from the campers, glampers, and builders. Thank you, Lisa Wilmot. Just blocking traffic. Let me see if I can find the... I wonder why it would be missing. You know, it's done that before. That's why the lawyer played my stream for something, for Melly. Because for whatever reason, that section was gone. Let me text RA. Interesting. I wonder why. Robin, this hearing is supposed to start 7 minutes ago. But I guess they're late. Well, y'all remember we had some issues with the camera going out and stuff yesterday. I mean, we didn't. They did. And then that one time that the camera guy got caught up in the bathroom. Oh yeah, it's not even on the thing. Wonder why. Let me go in Ari's chat. I texted him. Let me go in Ari's chat while we're waiting. I have to move this because I can't see. Casey Bay Miguel gifted 5 memberships. Five whole memberships. All right, look, we're spying on RA.
Okay, here comes Judge Simpson.
Oops. Let me mute him. Oops. Wrong chat. Okay. Alyssa K. Alyssa K has been best friends with us for 3 whole months.
What? Did we just become best friends? Yep.
Alyssa K, we miss having you live, but we are glad that you at least get to catch us on replay. And Alyssa K, you are yellow now. That's the time when 3 months, the little 13 turns to yellow. It's like magic. Turns to gold. I see Kathy. Yes, this is Austin's mama's hearing for the phone and the status hearing so that we find out if he's going to be sentenced today or if he's going to be tried again for a 3rd time. 3rd time. I don't know that they will. They don't have enough to convict him, especially with that medical examiner's testimony. But who knows? Okay, you're gonna have to tell me with the cute pug. I'm probably saying it wrong, and I don't like saying names wrong. Is it Liven? Liven. 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 Tell me how to say it, and I'll never say it wrong again. Ask Noli Mihalko. I said that one wrong, and every time that guy walks by, he scares me. Okay, I have to. Oh, trying to spy on RA and also help with the video. And okay, pronounced Leven. Okay, I'll never say it wrong again. Thank you for gifting a membership. I appreciate that so much. And let's see who it went to. Ismael Mendoza was gifted membership by Levin. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Y'all are the best. Y'all are the best. All right, I think. All righty. Let's see. I'm trying to oh my gosh. I think I just messed something up. Did that mess up my sound again, or am I still good? I'm having all kinds of technical issues today. All kinds of technical issues. Okay. All right. So I think I've got all of my settings fixed now. Hopefully nothing goes wrong again. We'll see. This court is usually on time, and of course they're late today, and I need them to not be late because I want to know what happens to Mama. Let's do a poll. Do a poll. Do a poll. Start a poll. Do you think they will try Austin for a third time? All right, poll is up. Casey Bama Gal gifted 5 memberships. I didn't get to see who they went to either because let's see. They went to Robin Clunan, Constant Creek Freedom, Levin, SCP, and Linda Denton. Y'all are all part of the family. Thank you, Casey Bama Gal. I appreciate that. I love gifts. Gifted memberships when everybody gets to see their name in green. So 61% of y'all so far don't think that they'll try him again. Oh, well, that just dropped down to 60 and back up to 61. Interesting. I'm almost, and I know that this sounds bad, but I'm almost as interested to see what happens with Mama. I'm almost just as interested in that as I am in if they're going to try Austin again. Is that weird? Yep. I checked court docs last night to make sure. Susan, and this one said 9:30 Eastern time. And here we are, 9:46. I tell you why. Because 80s Music Man and Chevelle Leathers and Lynn in SC and Lisa Wilmot were blocking the way to the courthouse. So everybody's running late thanks to hot tubs and stuff. Kathy Rose, 100 likes and 300 in chat. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. We're getting rid of Lucy. Got to get rid of Lucy till we get the likes. Let's see. I have good morning to those of y'all joining us. Chevelle, you're in timeout. Don't be laughing. Blocking everything with your RV. Let's see how many we have. We have 173 likes so far. Mary Tedeschi gifted a membership. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Mary.
What? Did we just become best friends? Yep.
Yes. Best friends. We are now best friends with Susan Sheehan. She was gifted a membership by Mary. Thank you so much, Mary. We appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. 183 likes. 186 now. When we get to, how many do we have in here? 300? When we get past 200, Lucy can come back. Free Lucy. Free Lucy. Mary, did I say your name right? Tedeschi? Tedeschi. 192 likes. Y'all, when I take Lucy away from you, y'all, there has never been a quicker way to get the likes up as there is when I take Lucy away from y'all. That's so funny. Yes, I said it right. Free Lucy. 2 more. It's hump day nonsense. Hump day nonsense. All right, we're at 201. Lucy has been freed. Welcome back, Woos. Welcome back. Your friends missed you. She's like, what? Excuse me. I'm trying to nap. Why are you talking to me? Oh, let's see. Oh my gosh, y'all, yesterday, she was on it, doggone it. I had, and keep in mind, I had taken her out at lunch. So, and then we ended, on their lunch, and we ended on a short day. They ended, half an hour early or something. And in that time, she brought me 5. I had 2, both of my tennis shoes and 3 flip-flops. She was ready to get out yesterday. All right, here we go. It's strange after you see him in
Mr. Norris Lewis, if you could
dressed
just
all
call the
nice.
calendar, please.
Then when you see him in their, I was about to say scrubs, whatever they're called. They're
First matter on the calendar
I'll call it if you don't have it.
both matters on the calendar relate to case 23B00981-3. The first matter is a contempt hearing against Ms. Sheila Holly.
Here we go.
And she is represented by Mr. Lamar Smith. Mr. Smith was present. I believe he had to go down to the second floor to check into a courtroom between when the court first came on the bench and now. But I expect him to return shortly.
All right, we'll hold for him on that, but I intend to go forward on the other matter first.
It's
Okay.
23B00981-3, State of Georgia versus Austin Tybee Ford. Before the court for status and/or sentencing.
Hey, B-Dash.
In the state's position.
Your Honor, with a heavy heart, this state is announcing that it is not going to proceed with a third trial on count 1 through 5 in the State of Georgia versus Austin Tybee Ford. And the state is asking that he be sentenced on counts 6, 7, and 8 after being duly convicted of those matters at the conclusion of the first trial.
All right, and Mr. Lawrence Lewis, on behalf of Mr. Ford, are you prepared with that announcement to go forward with sentencing this morning?
Yes, sir.
All right. The first jury having reached a unanimous verdict solely as to count 6, 7, and 8, count 6 being theft by taking, count 7 being theft by taking, count 8 being concealing death of another, and the court having declared a mistrial as to counts 1 through 5, and a second jury having heard evidence in the case and being unable to reach a unanimous verdict on counts 1 through 5, the court is left with sentencing solely as to count 6, 7, and 8. I will hear first from the state with any evidence in aggravation and any other relevant evidence you want to present with regard to sentencing.
Your Honor, the state does not have evidence in aggravation in as much as this defendant did not have a prior criminal record. There are victim impact statements, 4 that I expect will be spoken if the court would like to take them now, or after any evidence in mitigation is given, as well as the state does have a recommendation.
Let's have a, okay.
Your Honor,
Let me hear the recommendation then first, please.
Your Honor, the sentence range for counts 6, 7, and 8 is each 1 to 10 years to be as the court sees fit. The state is recommending a sentence respectfully of 30 years and that to be served in custody. A sentence of 10 years on each count to be run consecutively to each other. The state's position and the reason for that, understanding that he was not convicted of counts 1 through 5, that the theft of the vehicle, the theft of the gun, and concealing the death of another in the manner in which it was done was concealing the death of Tori Lang, one that by his own admission, he at the very least was aware of. This defendant spoke with her family members. He went to her funeral. He initially contacted Tori's mother, and when he knew what had happened to Tori, when Tori was just missing as far as the family knew, when he knew what had happened, he said nothing. He pretended to look for Tori, he pretended to be a concerned friend, knowing that he disposed of the weapon that she was killed with. He disposed of her vehicle. He continued to conceal any knowledge about Tori's death until he was finally caught in a number of lies by Detective Carter, but not till months and months later. This is having talked to her mother on the phone, after having gone to her funeral, after having pretended to be someone who cared about her and was concerned about the family's grieving. It is malignant and heinous to behave in that manner, and thus add to the grief and to the wrong that has been done to the Lang family. So the state does respectfully ask this court to sentence this defendant to the maximum possible sentence and ask that it be served in the custody of the Georgia Department of Corrections.
Okay, 2 questions. Is a 30-year to serve sentence in line with what the state would normally ask for these 3 charges for someone with no prior criminal history?
Good question. Good question.
I mean, is that in line with what you would recommend in a case where somebody has been convicted of these charges?
No.
Under these circumstances, yes. He's though not convicted of being the direct perpetrator of her death.
Or can I sentence him for that?
And I'm not asking you to.
That's exactly what he's asking her to do.
The jury has spoken. They were unable to reach a verdict. 2 juries were unable to reach a verdict on that. And the state's not asking this because it could not secure a conviction on the other counts. But the state is asking that you consider the level of grief and strife that was visited upon the Lang family by this defendant based on the offenses for which he has been convicted, and how not knowing knowledge of her death and knowing that a close friend of hers had knowledge of her death at the very least for months and failed to share that with the family, allowed them to spend at least 2 days not knowing what had happened to her at all, then to find out that she had been shot in the head and he left her in Yellow River Park. And that is what he is convicted of. And I do believe that the sentence the state has requested is appropriate based on the facts and circumstances here. Obviously, each recommendation made by the state is made considering the entire body of facts and circumstances. And though he has no prior criminal record, that does not mitigate how heinous his actions actually were and how they impacted the Lang family.
All right, have you prepared a null pros for the court on the prior indictment 22B03732-3?
I will provide the court with one, yes.
All right, that will need to be provided today.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, let me hear from Mr. Lawrence Lewis. Do you intend to call any witnesses?
I'll probably go call some witnesses. I don't know if you want to hear me speak first in terms of an argument or just hear from the witnesses. I mean, it's of course preference.
Let me hear from your witnesses, and then I'll hear from your argument. And by witnesses, that would include Mr. Ford in the event that he wishes to speak as well.
I apologize, Judge. No sooner than I say that, but let me say something because I think the court's going to have to think about something while the court hears the witnesses. I know the court can do two things at one time. So let me just say this first. Judge, my client was convicted of counts 6, 7, and 8. He wasn't convicted of concealing the death of another. He was convicted in count 8 of tampering with evidence.
No, you continue to refer to the first indictment that
Oh, do
charged
I?
him with that. The second indictment for which he was actually tried, count 8 is concealing the death of another.
I got it. Let me read the language in there. In that particular indictment, Judge.
In the first trial, he was convicted of not the murder stuff, but they did convict him of 2 counts of theft by taking and 1 count of concealing Tori's death. Theft by taking for the car, for the gun, and then concealing her
Judge,
death.
Ultimately, 6, 7, and 8, I think exactly carried the penalty that the prosecutors outlined, 1 to 30. I'm going to be asking the court to consider a sentence of 10 to serve 2, which I suspect is what is in line with what the state would recommend had we not had 2 hung jury trials. What the state is asking the court to do right now is sentence my client to 30 years in prison, 10 plus 10 plus 10. The difference is on that 30, obviously he would be eligible for parole because none of those are mandatory minimums. Ultimately, if my client had been found guilty of any sort of murder charge, felony murder, the court would have to give him a mandatory minimum sentence of 30 years. And that's exactly what they're asking the court for today, 30 years. I always love how the state says in every trial, we love our burden, we accept the burden, but they don't really accept the burden. It's almost as ridiculous as when they say we love speedy trial demands when they're twisting in the wind and emailing me 1,000 times when I'm on trial about this speedy trial demand. It's just not true. Just tell the truth. They're asking the court to sentence my client to 30 years, which is exactly the sentence that the court would have to give him. The court would have to give him life if he was found guilty of murder. And life in Georgia is 30 years before you're eligible for parole. Obviously, life with the possibility of parole might mean that he might be denied parole at 30 and then come back up at 36, 42, 48, 54. And typically periods of 6 to 7 years, parole circles back around and considers parole again. But what the state is asking the court for today is basically to sentence him as if he had been convicted of the murder charge. That's clear law. Life in Georgia means 30 years before you're eligible for parole. The only difference between life being eligible for parole at 30 and you giving my client 30 is that he would be eligible for parole much sooner on the 30 because it's not 30 to the door because there's no mandatory minimum. Other than that, Judge, there's no factual difference in ultimately what the prosecutor is asking the court for. So I'm gonna respectfully, Judge, argue that the sentence that would be more in line would be something that would sound like 10 served 2, and obviously I would argue that my client should get credit for time served. And I'll call his mother as my first witness on the stand, Judge.
She'll need to come around and take the witness stand for me, please. And Mr. Smith, are you present on behalf of Ms. Holly for the contempt hearing?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and we'll address that after sentencing. They're both related matters, but I'm going to address sentencing first to give Ms. Holly a chance to speak on behalf of Mr. Ford.
You know the time I have a calendar and judge.
I'm happy to let her know you're here with me, but I can't excuse you. I will email her now. Just give me a moment. Give me just a moment.
I see some of y'all are still asking. So the jury was hung on the murder charge. On the first trial, though, he was convicted of 2 counts of theft by taking, 1 for the gun and 1 for the car, and he was convicted of 1 count of concealing Tori's death. So they haven't sentenced him on those yet because they were waiting to see if he was going to be convicted of the murder charges, and then they would have sentenced him all together. Since they're not going to pursue the murder charges or do another trial, then
All right,
now
please
they're
proceed.
only sentencing for the 3 things that he was convicted for. So that's what this is.
Austin, type brief forward will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
All right, you can put your hand down. State your full name.
Sheila Holly.
All right, and your relationship to Austin Ford.
I'm his mother.
Okay. Prior to Austin being locked up, did Austin live with you?
Yes, he did.
Okay. Has Austin lived with you most of his life?
Yes.
Is Austin your only child?
No.
Okay. How many other children do you have?
I have one older son.
All
older
right.
Austin.
Meaning, of course, implicitly that Austin is your youngest son. How old is Austin?
Is that a Nike
Austin's
swoosh?
22.
Did Austin
on her
graduate
necklace?
from high school?
No, he didn't.
All right. Do you remember what high school he was in when he did not finish high school?
He was in Stevenson High School.
All right. What grade did he complete all the way through?
He completed the 10th grade.
10th grade. And in 11th grade, did he leave school?
COVID time during the 11th grade.
Okay, so 11th grade was one of those times where he may have done some online schooling for a bit?
A little, yes.
Okay. Did he ever return to school after COVID?
No.
All right. Do you know if he's earned his GED or high school equivalency yet?
He was going to Job Corps. We were waiting for Job Corps to be back in session, but COVID started. So he was on his way to Job Corps.
Okay. Does he have any children?
No.
Doesn't have any children. Who's here in the courtroom in support of Austin Ford? Who's here?
His pastor, who also was his football coach from since he was 8 years old,
Okay, and his name?
is Pastor Shelley.
Okay. What do you want the judge to know about Austin Ford?
Austin has a generous heart. He's actually an empath, very spiritual. He assists all his friends. I had to really instill in Austin that the way he looks, he needs to tame it down because his appearance may be intimidating to other people. And he just may look like other people that, do indecent things. So I really had to instill in him that, he really have to show up and really be himself, show the nice guy that he is. And that's what he do. He helps all of his friends.
I don't have any other questions. The prosecutor, he may have some questions for you.
Questions from the state?
None, Your Honor.
All right, ma'am, you can step down and return to your seat.
You can have a seat. Raise your right hand. Do you swear from testimony you provide this morning, the case of State of Georgia versus Austin Ford will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Okay, you can put your hand down. You and I haven't spoken before today, have we?
Not at all.
Okay, yeah, and because I'm rushing from another courtroom here and I'm late for this court, you and I
I'm
didn't get
sorry.
a chance to talk this morning.
Have him state his name.
Yes, what's your name, sir?
Yaquis Shelley, Senior.
Okay, give me,
Spell it for us, please.
Yaquis, Yaquis. Shelley, Shelley.
Thank you.
Senior.
thank you very much. So you and I didn't get a chance to talk because I was running late this morning. I've called you to the stand. I promise you, every question I ask you, you're gonna know the answer to, all right? Have you testified before?
Ever?
Ever?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Take a deep breath. If you don't understand the question that I'm asking because I'm talking too fast with my Jersey accent or something, just let me know and I'll rephrase the question, okay?
Yes, sir.
What is the role that you played in Austin Ford's life?
Coach, I initially met Austin. His mom brought him to Central DeKalb to play youth football.
Central DeKalb at what age?
We met Austin around 10 or 11.
He was 10 or 11 at the time. Okay. And when was the last time you coached him in football?
12 years old.
12 years old. Okay. So when he was in high school, you weren't doing any coaching.
Not the coaching
Okay.
piece.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. Did you ever go and watch any of his games? Did you sort of follow what was going on with his football in high school?
Yes. During the football piece, they end up coming to the church. So I've been around Austin for 12 years.
Okay. Post high school, Austin also played some kind of football?
No, not post high school. He just attended the church.
Okay, I got you. Did you follow any of his football career after high school?
Not after high school.
Okay, that's fine. When was the last time you physically seen Austin in person?
Outside of here, the last trial was the last time I saw him. But you saying outside of
Outside of this process, that's correct, sir.
probably about a year ago.
About a year ago.
Over a year ago.
And when you saw him in what capacity? Where was he at? How did you sort of see him?
He came to service. He had a young lady with him.
Where's your church at?
Right off Austin Drive behind Quick Trip, right at 285 Covenant Highway.
Prior to COVID, how often would you see, I'm assuming COVID impacted your physical attendance at your church, did it not?
Yes.
Okay, I anticipated that. Prior to COVID, how often would you see Austin? How often would Austin come to church?
Regularly. I can't say if he was there twice a month or every Sunday, but I would see him on a regular basis.
He was a regular fixture. And was he participating in anything at church, youth ministry, men's group? Was he participating other than, say, church service on Sunday or church service on Wednesday night?
I wouldn't say that he was active in a particular auxiliary. I wouldn't say he was
Okay.
in the auxiliary.
That's fine. Did you ever tap Austin to do any special projects? That's always what scares me about church. Hey, I need you to do this, that, and the other thing. Had you tapped him for any special projects? Hey, I need you to work with the young people. I need you to do something else when he was at the church.
I can't recall doing anything extra outside of service.
That's fine. So if I understand you correctly, you're outside of church, your primary connection, primary involvement with Austin was when he was between 10 and 12. Is that right?
Yes.
What position did he play then?
Offensive line and linebacker.
Okay, good. And what position did he play when he was in high school?
Still trying to play linebacker.
Okay, I got you. So obviously, fortunately or unfortunately, typically when the judge sits on the bench, she sees somebody in sort of one way,
right,
as a defendant. You understand that? That's not really how you know Austin. So tell the judge a little bit about the Austin that you know that she may not have seen.
Yeah. As his mother stated, very compassionate kid, willing to learn, could take instructions very well, team oriented. I never had a behavior issue out of him being disrespectful as it relates to the football side. When it came to personal life, there are times that his mother did ask me to get involved, but it was more of staying consistent as it relates to his education side, as he had challenges as it relates to learning, and the frustration of wanting to be productive, but what comes easy for other people, he found difficult for himself. So
tell me exactly what you're thinking about when you say that. What comes easy to others is difficult for him.
I believe we really came down to understand that Austin had a learning disability or could be tabbed with a learning disability. So needing to have that extra attention as it relates to understanding things. Is what he struggled with.
Okay, and when you say learning disability, you talking about dyslexia, ADHD? How does it? I'm not asking you for a diagnosis. I'm asking you sort of how it struck you in terms of his learning style and.
Without being offensive, slow, needing to be repeated over and over, so that he gathers. Having a hard time to really comprehend what somebody may consider basic instructions.
Okay, and something about this job, and something about just the life that I've lived always leads me back to fatherhood. Have you gotten the story with Austin's dad, the role that he played or may not have played in his life?
Yeah, his father wasn't around. I can't recall ever seeing him at a game. And the issue of growing up and trying to gain identity, but not having the person that brought you into this world not being in your life was difficult.
Okay, and absent is a lot of different things. Absent is dead. Absent is in a different state with a different family. Absent
Different
is
state.
here, right around the corner, but don't want to
Right.
have anything to do with you.
Right.
What's your understanding of the role that Austin's father may or may not have played in his life?
That he was in another state.
I got you. Thank you very much. The prosecutor, he may have some questions.
Questions from the state? All right, thank you, sir. You can step down and return to your seat. Any other witnesses for the defense?
No, Judge, thank you.
All right, then let me hear any further mitigation argument or anything else from you before I turn to the state's presentation.
Oh, I'm sorry, Judge. No, Judge, ultimately, sometimes I spoil my remarks in the questions that I ask because I do believe that it's true that what courts typically see, what court reporters, judges, bailiffs typically see is they see folks, I'm gonna say being held accountable or being accused of something that they've done in the worst 2 or 3 or 5 minutes of their life. And what I try to do, which I'm gonna be honest with you, I've never been good at it because I've never been a poet and I spent a lot of time in school, but it was learning big words and handling big concepts. It really wasn't spending much time with your feelings. As I said in the closing remarks, I just didn't spend a lot of time with feelings. And all of this now is about what the court believes is a fair and just punishment for ultimately what happened. And at this stage, when the court is contemplating sentencing, feelings have to come into it because I agree with the prosecutor. There's something super offensive about being in your friend's mother's face, smiling and lying to her. But ultimately, he's not charged with that. If he was charged with lying, it's nothing I could say to dissuade the court from giving him whatever punishment the court would want to give, because I was raised by a father that taught me from very young, I'm gonna say 3rd grade, a liar will do anything. I didn't believe it. Still have trouble with that saying, a liar will do anything. You mean if I eat the last of the ice cream and I lie, I might kill somebody? A liar will do anything. That's what my father taught me. And there's a part of me that believes that, which is why I try to always be honest. And there's something super offensive about being in the mother's face and smiling and acting like you don't know what's going on when you know exactly what's going on. So I agree with the prosecutor on that. There's no way ultimately around that. But what the court has to sentence my client on is the taking of the gun, not really to keep it, but obviously the jury
Thank you,
found what they
Weatherwatch.
found.
Happy anniversary,
the
Red
taking
Pin.
of the car, and ultimately the concealing of the body. That's what the court ultimately has to sentence him on. And in that regard, Judge, the totality of evidence, the lack of criminal history, I would respectfully ask the court to sentence my client to 10 serve 2, giving him credit for whatever time that he spent. Irrespective of the sentence that the court might give Mr. Austin Ford, I would respectfully ask the court to sentence my client to first offender, which ultimately would allow him to walk out of the courtroom not a convicted felon, would allow him, once he paroles out or maxes out, to not have a felony conviction follow him for the rest of his life on the 3 charges ultimately that he was found guilty of. Thank you very much, Judge.
Thank you. All right,
Thank
the
you, Tangy
state,
Mills. Thank you,
present
Weatherwatch.
the remainder of your case as you deem
Jamie C.,
appropriate.
gifted a membership. Thank you so much. And, oh, I can't keep up with y'all. Red Pen gifted 5 memberships. Thank y'all so much. Thank you. Thank you, Nancy
Good morning,
B.
Your Honor.
Would you like Mr. Lang at the podium or on the witness stand?
On the witness stand, please. All right, and for, I should have said this at the beginning, but I will say
Thank you,
it now.
MCAT.
Victim impact statements are to advise the court of how you feel about sentencing and what you believe to be appropriate and what you're asking me to do. I would ask that you not directly speak to Mr. Ford, as that would not be appropriate. All right, please have a seat.
Right hand. You swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter now pending before the court shall be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. Nothing but the truth, so be it.
I do.
Say your name for the court reporter.
My name is Tori Lang. Torreylang.
This is Dad.
Mr. Lang,
Tori's dad.
What information would you like the court to know about sentencing in this matter?
Really don't have too much to say, Your Honor, without being offensive or, speaking as if though I'm speaking out of vengeance or what have you. I'm a father that's still grieving, and I understand that these court proceedings have rules and regulations in place, and it's not my job to tell anyone how to do their job. My job as a father was taken away from me, unfortunately. Sitting through these proceedings, I tried to remain humble, even through all, the direct and indirect insults and hearing things. I would ask the court to do what it feels is necessary to keep bad people off the streets. I understand that there's individuals who work, who has a job to free bad people, and I don't agree with a lot of stuff. I hear that. Sorry, Anna.
Oh, green hearts for the family, y'all.
Just
This has
hearing
got to be so
all the
hard.
stuff that's being said. Now all of a sudden, individuals are church-going, law-abiding citizens, and my daughter, she's gone. I can't do nothing to bring her back, but she didn't deserve to die, and I don't wish this type of pain on no parent. There's an old African proverb that says, if there's no enemy within, the enemy outside could do us no harm. And it's an unfortunate situation where it's hard to determine who the enemy was. Again, I don't want to speak as if though I'm the voice of vengeance or somebody who just want bad things to happen to people who do bad things, but I would ask the court to just do what's right, because I understand that these proceedings and, the system has been allowed to let people do their job and manipulate the truth. And I would hate for this tragic in our lives to set a precedent for people to think that they could lie their way out of murdering individuals. I don't wish death on no other person, but I just hope that this situation doesn't give the notation to individuals that they could just make a mistake and get away with it, just conceal a lie, or however individuals may put it. But I don't want to take up too much of your time, Your Honor. I'm still dealing with, this grief. I was an active father. I wasn't an absent father. I was there every day, doing homework, helping with science projects. And to hear certain things as if though, my daughter was suicidal or she didn't deserve to be here because she was overweight and all this other nonsense. It's hurting, but, my family and I realized that this won't be an easy healing. And again, I'm going to try to maintain my humbleness as I've always did, with respect to other people and integrity to my fellow human being. I don't want to dwell too much, Your Honor, because I don't want to, again, seem like I'm being in a place of vengeance, but I would ask the court do you think it's right and keep bad people off the streets, Your Honor. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir.
Good job, Dad.
Next witness.
Look at his shirt. I love it. He's got her favorite color. The thumbnail that I did when I found out green was her favorite color, I changed the thumbnail to like all green and gold because that was her favorite.
Lang, watch your step for me coming around.
Oh, here's
please.
Grandma.
Ms. Lang, could you raise your right hand? You swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter now pending before the court should be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
And spell your name for the court reporter, please.
Tanya, Tanya. Last name Lang, Lang.
And Ms. Lang, what do you want the court to know before
She
it
is
sentences
precious.
this defendant for the offenses for which he was convicted?
Okay, first, just let me say, Your Honor, I really misunderstood
Thank you, all right.
what this day was about. I really was under the impression that you were allowing us a platform to talk about Tori and what she was about, or you know what I'm saying? That's what I was under the impression. But learning now that you need to know what we feel about the sentencing.
I'm not preventing you from telling me what you want to know.
That's what I'm trying to
want me
find out.
know.
What I mean, am I limited to certain things or whatever? Or can I just talk about Tori?
I can't really tell you what to say, ma'am.
Okay.
So just tell me what you want me to know. And if
Okay.
anybody takes exception to that, then they will let me know. But
Okay.
you just proceed.
And
Okay.
Ms. Lang, obviously, how you feel about sentencing as it relates to Tori, if that information relates to the sentencing, then I think that's what the court is looking for.
Okay. Before I give my view about the sentencing and what I think should be done as far as sentencing, there was a statement made, and I'm sorry, I just feel compelled to address it. A statement was made in this court, and it was an insult to the family. And my son, he's too humble to say anything. Tori is not here, but I am here. And because our mother is gone, I am the matriarch, and I'm going to speak for our family. The statement that, oh, they love her now. Now that she's gone, they love her.
We talked about that.
That was one of the most heartless, insensitive things for a person to say, especially in the presence of her parents that are suffering the grief and the loss of the only child that they had. However, in hindsight, I just feel like the only way a person could fix their mouth to say something like that is if they never experienced that kind of love. So they would not understand that. Before Tori drew her first breath, she was loved so much by so many because we anticipated her arrival. Everything Tori ever did in her life, we celebrated, and not on no small level. Tori was supported, and she was celebrated her entire life. So, I mean, that was just weird to hear that being said. Now, as far as the sentencing for Austin, I just don't see how the court could sentence him in accordance with his involvement in this case. Because the truth of the matter is, for the rest of his life, there'll be a dark cloud over his head. See, Tori's not coming home with us. Tori's not coming home with us. Austin not going home to his family either, at least not now. But at least they can see him. And his mother knows that at some point he will be coming home.
Oh,
We don't have that blessing. We don't have that opportunity to see our baby again until Jesus come back. And that's only if we live right. And that's in the Bible, and that's God's word. And that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to live right so that I can see her again. So as far as sentencing him, if he walk out that door right now, he will never have peace. Never. So whatever the courts want to do with him, I'm with my son on that. I'm with my son on that. But I just hope that in considering or making the decision, whoever is making the decision about his sentencing, put themselves in our shoes. If it were your daughter, your only child, we have people getting up here, you know, one witness testimony was like 90% of the testimony was about her accolades and, you know, the thousands of bodies that she, you know, worked on and what have you. But she wasn't a crime scene investigator. She was an ME. And with all these accolades and all these hours, she still couldn't come up with a determination of how Tori died. I really was under the assumption that the cause of death was a gunshot to the head. Now, far as I'm concerned, that was all she had to say. Anything after that, I think, should be left up to CSI members. They're the ones that specialize in that. And then at the 11th hour to come in and say, oh, I don't know, I think I'm kind of leaning towards suicide. Get out of here. Miss me with that. I think that even the time that Austin has been behind bars, he knows that he's going to probably live in fear for the rest of his life because he knows Tori's family. Not that we would ever do anything, but if you have a certain guilt, you understand, you will always be looking, you know, Tori's old boyfriends, anybody. So the only thing I do right now is just pray and ask God to give us the strength to get through this grief. It's been 2 years. And even now, the pain is so immense. Sometimes I'm just numb. I'm just numb. Tori wasn't my baby. I didn't give her birth, but she was my baby. And everybody knew that. Tori was so loved. And if you never had love like that, unconditional love like that before, you probably just don't even know it exists. And this is why the family is really upset about that statement. That's why I had to address it.
good for her.
So again, you know, whatever the state feel or deem, you know, should be done with him, you just have to accept it at that. Because really, in our eyes and in our hearts, there's no punishment that the state could give him that would justify what has happened. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Watch your step coming down for me.
Thank you,
Take your
Judge.
time. I thought I heard someone's cell phone. So this is the last time I'm going to say it. If you are not an officer of the court, power your phone all the way off, not on silent, not on airplane mode, off. Please call your next witness.
Heraing.
Look, I'll say this.
Morning.
My mama
Morning.
kicked me out when I was 18, and it was the best thing that she could have
Raise your right
done
hand, please.
because it's tough
I
love.
swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter now pending before the court shall be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Please say and spell your name for the court reporter.
My name is Tamara Lang, Tamara as in George.
And what do you want to know, or I'm sorry, what do you want to let the court know about sentencing in this matter?
Oh,
There's tissue right
I have something that I want to read, but before I read it, I am Tamara Tori's, what we call Kiwi, aunt and godmother, and I've helped raise her in her entire life. A month from today would be September 16th. We would have been celebrating her 21st birthday. And like Mama said, we don't do anything that is not colossal when it comes to our only child. But instead of planning this year, we had to deal with the past over 2 years, the hurt, pain, and tragedy of what has taken place and the loss of our only baby. As far as the sentencing go, I'm going to speak on that first. The only thing that I continuously think about is looking out the window to make sure my baby car was outside and she'd come home. The constant text with her being the only one with the car and having to bring friends and pick them up and rip and run and having conversations of not really understanding what friends are. My friends I've had for 30 years and my friends don't use me. And I've constantly had to think about those conversations when I fix morning coffee and talk to her. When we were looking for her and all of this took place, I keep seeing, I can't say his name, the defendant. When I pulled up from the funeral home to make arrangements, his mama standing outside of my home and him going in my home to bring Mama Lang flowers. And I knew something. At the funeral, the only picture in my head was him taking pictures in front of her horse and carriage ride like it was a fashion show red carpet. That image has never left my head. The phone call and text message of identifying her, of which I had to do, and send pictures that has never left my head. He needs to be sentenced to the max. Who as a friend could leave a friend Lang killed in a park with a gunshot to their head, and for months lying to us, and point the blame at other people? No friend would ever do anything like that. Your friends cover you. Your friends pray with you. Your friends hold you accountable if you are a friend. So I am asking that the court have mercy on my family and judge the maximum sentence. Coming into this court time after time, motion, every little thing we've come for, and for him to have a smirk on his face, to watch that
and his mother, they're looking at us like we did wrong, and we are not the ones here who has transgressed and hurt and left somebody dead. This is the hardest thing in life that we've ever had to deal with. And I'm asking you, Judge, to see and put yourselves in our shoes. We don't have our only child. All we have is memories. And with that being said, I will read what I provided. Tori Lang, Kiwi's dash. The dash on a person's obituary between the date of birth to the date they leave Earth represents a person's life journey on Earth. And only those who love them know what that little line was worth. On September 16th, 2002, a star was born, Tori Lang, affectionately known to her family as Kiwi. A kiwi is fuzzy on the outside, but soft and sweet on the inside. That was our baby, our Kiwi. Kiwi was born big, B-I-G, blessed in God. From a toddler at the tender age of 2, Kiwi had so much compassion and care for others. We would be amazed at how she would say the sweetest, most comforting words. At 2, we decided to enroll her in a school that focused on being diverse and bilingual. Imagine, to my surprise, picking her up one day and hearing her sing numbers in Spanish. Kiwi was big, B-I-G, bright, insightful, and gentle. Kiwi grew up an only child, and although she had many cousins, she thought everyone was her friend. No matter how much she would share her toys, they would break, or her snacks they would take. She was always willing to see the best in them, making excuses for their actions and behavior. Kiwi was big, B-I-G, believed in seeing good. Kiwi has taken cheerleading, acting, modeling, traveled to other countries, cruises, and explored many water and theme parks. She was in a choir, although she couldn't sing.
Aw.
Kiwi was always on the honor roll, and teachers adored her. Her love for math was amazing, and she would do math problems that I would pass over and pray they would get worked out. So many of her schoolmates have shared with us how she helped, tutored, and gave them grace while grading their assignments they struggled in. Kiwi was big, B-I-G, brilliant, inspiring, and gracious. Amazed by skyscrapers and uniquely designed buildings, Kiwi had dreams of being an architectural engineer and was enrolled in engineering school, also taking dual enrollment, which is taking college courses while still in high school. She was very creative and worked on several inventions with her daddy, who always told her, "The baby is going to do great things." Kiwi had a charismatic aura that drew people to her, that came from her mama, her grandmother. Her beautiful smile, personality, and grace, of course, came from me. And her brains and beauty came from her mama and daddy. But not just beauty on the outside, but beneath the surface. She was taught that God searches our hearts. And yes, she journaled to God. Well, at least we know she knew him. Kiwi was big, B-I-G, believer, incomparable, and gentle. When hearing the question in court asked to young adults, where do you think you will be? At age 30, it was very heartbreaking. All I could think about was where our baby was. If I knew my key, she would be in the prime of her architectural engineering career, owning several businesses, maybe even married, but never too busy to spend time with her family, and most of all, her mama, her true best friend. But now, all we have left are memories. No wedding, no grandbaby, no engineering career, no creative inventions, and the family gatherings and trips will never be the same. With all that I said, I know that Kiwi's life left a lasting impression on many. It wasn't the things we gave to her, but what we instilled in her. Kiwi was big, a bright, incredible gift. She is a loved child by many, a beacon light, the joy of our life, our precious baby, our heart, our Tori, our Kiwi. Thank you, Judge.
Ugh. She did good. That was amazing. Hi, Jams.
Raise your right hand, please. You swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter now?
Oh, here's Mama. Oh, Lord.
Truth, nothing but the true self you got. Yes. Please say and state your, spell your name for the court reporter.
Teresa Lang. Teresa-Lang.
Okay, so what do you want the court to know before it sentences this defendant?
Right now, Your Honor, so hurt, angry. I feel weak, tired. I feel like for the rest of my life, I'm gonna have to fight for my baby. It's like it's never gonna end. I have to see that her legacy lives on through me, her father, her family. I'm just hurt and just disappointed by everything. It just really shows me that life is not fair at all. I'm lost for words. I'm just hurt. Every day I get up, get dressed, comb my hair. You can see the hurt in my eyes, my husband's eyes, my family eyes. When I look at him, it looks like he sleeps good every night. Every single night. You know why? Because he's evil. Heartless. Only people like that can sleep good at night. As far as the sentencing, Your Honor, I know it would never bring Tori back, but at least we can get a peace of mind. Some type of peace of mind. I just think if he would would have just said something, called him and told me my baby was out there.
Ugh.
In the darkness, animals, bugs, laying there like a piece of trash all night long. I want to see him on the ring camera, just so going by his day like nothing ever happened. Like he didn't see her, no, he left her there, hurt her, and just left her there. Just left her there, lifeless. When I spoke with him that night, he heard the fear in my heart, in my voice. He didn't care. Yeah, I don't know what to say. I just feel. And then whatever we say, however we feel, you have to do what you have to do. That's all I have to say. I can't.
Ugh.
No other witnesses, Your Honor, just some final remarks. I'll wait till Ms. Lang is seated.
She did better than I could have. She's strong.
Your Honor, I understand that this defendant is eligible for first offender, and none of these offenses are prohibited by law for this defendant to be sentenced under the First Offender Act for them. It's the court's determination to balance whether or not society has a greater interest in knowing that this defendant has been convicted or what he has been convicted of versus whatever benefit there is to him. And I have no choice but to leave that in the discretion of the court. But I do take exception with the suggestion that the state makes this recommendation out of a sense of revenge, or is asking the court to sentence him for the murder it didn't convict him of. I take a strong exception to that, because as the court can see, this is the single most heinous, callous, cold, and calculated way to commit the three offenses that the defendant was convicted of. And when it is the single most callous, cold, calculated way, it is appropriate, even on the first offense, to sentence a defendant to prescribes a certain thing as the maximum and allows the court to run offenses consecutively. The court's not being asked to do anything outside of the law. Prescribes a certain thing as the maximum and allows disingenuous simply to suggest because it suits your needs that it's
Even with the boost, they're not talking into the mic, so there's nothing I can do.
The state believes its recommendation is appropriate, especially given the impact these offenses had on the Lang family, the heartless way in which it was committed, and the purpose for which it was committed, which was to conceal ultimately Tori Lang's death for as long as possible. For that reason, Your Honor, the state's respectfully asking the court to follow its recommendation.
Thank you. Anything final before I prepare to move forward with sentencing?
No.
All right, give me a moment to collect my thoughts.
I think I would go, if I were a judge, which what do I know about being a judge? I think I would do probably max sentence, but I would not do it consecutively. I would do it concurrent.
Right, having presided over both jury trials in this case, as a judge, I do not know what happened in Yellow River Park. I was not there. The attorneys were not there. The families were not there. And oftentimes in jury trials, you have the state's version of events, the defendant's version of events, and oftentimes the absolute and unequivocal truth lies somewhere in between those two versions. I acknowledge that 2 mistrials after 2 jury trials does not provide any closure for the Lang family. But honestly, I don't know what could possibly provide closure to the family under any circumstance. And I recognize that. I can't sentence Mr. Ford for the offenses for which he was not convicted by 2 juries. But I am authorized to sentence him for the 3 offenses for which he was convicted. With that being said, I impose sentence as follows. I'm going to start with count 8, concealing the death of another. For that offense, I impose a sentence of 10 years to serve in confinement. He'll be entitled to credit for time previously served on these charges as he is lawfully entitled to and as determined by the custodian. On count 7, theft by taking of the motor vehicle, I impose a sentence of 10 years probation consecutive to count 8. On count 6, theft by taking of the firearm, I impose a sentence of 10 years probation concurrent, which makes the aggregate sentence on all 3 counts a total of 20 years, the first 10 years to serve in confinement. I impose the following conditions: a $1,500 fine plus any court costs and surcharges, the monthly probation reporting fee, the indigent defense application fee for the services of court-appointed counsel. I order that while he is on probation, he is not permitted to consume any alcohol or drugs unless they are lawfully prescribed to him. He will be subject to random screens and must waive specimen admissibility in any court proceeding for any positive screen results. I order that he undergo an alcohol and drug evaluation and that he complete any recommended treatment. While on probation, he is not to have any contact of any kind, directly or indirectly, with any member of the victim's family, their residence, their place of employment, or any school location. The defense has asked that I treat Mr. Ford as a first offender. It is undisputed from both sides that he has no prior criminal history and he appears otherwise eligible for that treatment. However, taking into account everything that I am lawfully entitled to consider, I decline to sentence him as a first offender. I also order that the state present to me today a null pros order on the preceding indictment in case 22B 03732-3. I also note for the record that the indictment in which issue was joined for the second trial was provided to Ms. Banks Brown at the conclusion of the hearing, and that indictment will need to be filed with this court's sentencing order. I believe I also need to address, even though I have entered an order on the mistrial for counts 1 through 5, this sentencing order will reflect a mistrial for counts 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 on the sentencing order. I'm sorry, thank you. Counts 1, 2, 4, and 5. Count 3, voluntary manslaughter, was a directed verdict. and the sentence sheet should reflect that. Let me advise Mr. Ford of some appellate rights, and then I'll turn to each side to determine if they take issue or need any clarification on the court sentence. Mr. Ford, if you feel that your rights were violated, you may challenge your conviction in one of two ways. First, you have a right to directly appeal from your plea by filing a notice of appeal within 30 days of the date that your sentence is filed. Second, you can challenge this proceeding through a habeas corpus petition. That must be filed within 4 years for felony offenses, and all of your convictions are in fact felonies. And that 4 years runs from the date that your sentence is filed. Mr. Ford, do you understand these rights? To further clarify on your right to appeal, you do have a right to seek post-judgment relief from your conviction of the crimes by either making a motion for new trial in this court and or by filing an appeal to a higher appellate court. If you want to file a motion for new trial or an appeal, then you will need to file the appeal. You will need to file the motion or a notice of appeal with the clerk of Superior Court of this county within 30 days. You can discuss that more fully with your attorney, Mr. Lewis. If a motion for new trial is in fact filed, and after a hearing, I deny that motion for new trial, then you will have 30 days from the filing of the order denying your new trial in which to file with the clerk of a court your notice to appeal to a higher court. You have the right to have an attorney represent you on your motion for new trial and the first level of direct appellate review. If for any reason you cannot afford to hire an attorney, the court will provide you an attorney and one copy of the transcript of your trial at no cost. Mr. Lawrence Lewis, I'll ask that you file the initial motion for new trial within 30 days. And if you are requesting to come off of the case for appellate purposes, if you will indicate that, and I will appoint Mr. Ford different appellate counsel if he wishes to appeal.
I'll handle that, Judge, within the week of the trial and the sentencing.
All right, let me turn now first to the state for any questions or clarification needed on the court sentence.
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Lawrence Lewis.
I don't know the credit for time served date. I don't know if the prosecutor's making a suggestion. I do know that March 29, 2022 was the interview with the lead detective, and I do know at some point in time my client made his way to the Gwinnett County Jail. I suspect that at some time between the time that the detective spoke to him and the time he arrived at 2900 University Parkway, warrants were filed against them and holds were placed, but I don't know that date. So I don't know if the court is going to try to figure out, or if we should figure out what that credit for time served date is now, or if you just leave it to the calculation of the custodian. And then if I disagree with that, I'll file a motion to amend the credit for time served date. I don't know how you want to handle that. I just don't know what his credit for time served date is, Judge. And obviously I would ask that he receive credit for time that he served. The date back to March 29th would give him 16 months. I think at the date when he arrived would probably be closer to 14. So I'm not quite sure what date the warrants dropped and the hold was placed on him when he was in Clayton County.
All right, and I typically stay out of that dispute. It is within the purview of the custodian to determine what credit he is lawfully entitled to receive. For that very reason, I do not put a specific date. I leave that up to the custodian. That is within their purview to determine the appropriate credit. Any other issues with the sentence as announced from the defense?
No, thank you, Judge.
All right, Mr. Ford, do you understand your sentence? All right, I'll also instruct the state to maintain possession of the evidence, to file an evidence and retention log with the court at the earliest convenience.
Yes,
All right, then that is going to conclude the sentencing hearing Mr. Ford is remanded to the custody of the sheriff. All right, we will now switch gears to a related quasi-criminal matter under the same docket number 23B00981-3 in re Sheila Holly on the matter of contempt. Neither side is a party to this contempt action. This is the court's motion, and the court will proceed with witnesses as it deems fit. Let me have Ms. Holly at defense table, and I'll need if you could remove Lawrence Lewis's documents, please. And Mr. Smith, if you could join your client.
He was arrested April of last year, so he's got 1 year, a little over 1 year
The
served.
state is not a party. You're free to remain, but you are not a party to the action. So if anybody wishes to leave the courtroom before I start this hearing, please do so now. All right, Mr. Smith, good morning. How are you? All right, are you in receipt of the court's prior orders regarding the contempt and the notice of hearing for today? Okay, well, that's the copy that was filed. So I just turn to you if you want to make any opening remarks. If not,
this is Mama
the
now.
court's hearing, and I will call my first witness, which would be Deputy Odom. But do you want to make any opening remarks? All right, then I will call Deputy Odom to the witness stand, please.
This is for this is the defendant's mom. She took pictures of the jurors in the jury box, so she's held in contempt. So this is her hearing.
If you will be comfortably seated in the chair and raise your right hand. All right, you swear or affirm that the testimony you'll provide the court in the pending matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
All right, lower your hand and please state and spell your name.
My name is Rebecca Odom, REBECCA ODOM.
All right, and how are you employed?
I'm a deputy sheriff with Gwinnett County Sheriff's Department.
All right, Deputy Odom, were you assigned to this courtroom, courtroom 3F, for the criminal jury trial in the State versus Austin 4 that commenced on Monday, August 7th, 2023?
Yes.
And were you assigned to this courtroom each day that that jury trial took place?
Yes.
Were you present in the courtroom for the trial proceedings, accepting any lunch, recess, and breaks?
Yes.
Did you hear the court at any occasion provide instructions to courtroom observers regarding cell phones?
Yes.
What do you recall that instruction to be?
The instruction I recall were that everyone who is not an officer of the court to have their phones powered all the way off.
All right, and do you recall if I made that instruction on more than one occasion?
Yes, I do.
Do you recall if that instruction was in fact made on more than one occasion for each day for which the trial proceeded?
Yes.
Are you familiar with Sheila Holly?
Since the duration of this trial, yes.
Okay. And was there something regarding Ms. Holly that caught your attention during the trial proceeding?
Yes. On Wednesday, August the 9th, it was at the end of the day, about 4:50 to 5 o'clock. We were about to adjourn, and the jurors were leaving out. And you were, after the jurors left out, you asked for the deputy to take Mr. Austin back in custody. So as Deputy Hilbert was removing Mr. Ford, then he saw that Miss Sheila Holly had her cell phone, and it looked like it was in video mode. So he got her phone and he handed it to me because he had custody of the inmate. And when I looked at the phone, that's when I saw that it was looked like video mode. And there was a picture in the small corner of the courtroom. That's when I advised the court.
All right, and that was a cell phone that was retrieved from Ms. Holly in the courtroom?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and do you have that cell phone with you today?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Smith, you want to look at what I'm going to mark as Court's Exhibit 1, please? If you need to open it up, you can do so. All right, any objection to what I'm going to mark as Court's Exhibit 1?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right. Let me have the court, if you'll hand that to the court reporter. All right, Deputy Odom, and if you need to open the bag, that's fine. Can you look at the contents of what has been marked as Court's Exhibit 1 and tell me if you recognize it?
Yes, I do.
What is contained within Court's Exhibit 1?
This is the cell phone belonging to Miss Sheila Holly.
All right, and is that the cell phone that you seized from Miss Holly in court?
Yes, ma'am.
At this time, I will admit Court's Exhibit 1 into evidence for the record. Any objection, Mr. Smith?
No objection.
All right. I am also, Mr. Smith, I'll show you what I intend to mark as Court's Exhibit 2. If you'll review that, please. I'll ask the court reporter to mark this as Court's Exhibit 2. All right, Deputy Odom, if you'll look at Court's Exhibit 2 and tell me if you recognize it.
Yes, I do.
Does it appear to be in the same or substantially the same condition as when you first saw it?
Yes.
And what is Court's Exhibit 2?
Court's Exhibit 2 is what appears to be a photograph from the gallery of members of the jury.
Is that the photograph that you observed on the cell phone that's contained in Court's Exhibit 1?
Yes.
At this time, I would admit Court's Exhibit 2 for the record. Any objection, Mr. Smith? All right, it will be made part of the record. Can you tell generally what is depicted in Court's Exhibit 2?
What's depicted in Court's Exhibit 2 is members of the jury as they're sitting during trial, and there's Mr. Norris Lewis and what appears to be the Mrs. Banks Brown sitting at the prosecutor's table.
All right, and the jurors appear to be seated where in the photograph?
The jurors are seated in the jury box.
All right, and that appears to be, does that appear to be a picture that was taken during trial proceedings?
Yes.
All right, I have no further questions at this time. Mr. Smith, do you have any questions for Deputy Odom?
This one, Deputy Odom, was there indication that picture
Use the mic.
sent or transmitted to anyone outside the courtroom?
There's no indication that it was sent to anybody, to my knowledge.
All right, you may step down. Thank you. All right, Mr. Smith, I obviously don't want to get into any privileged communications between you and your client. I would rest on the testimony of Deputy Odom, so I don't know if your client intends to be placed under oath and take the witness stand to defend the allegations of contempt. If you could stand for me and use that podium mic, please.
We would concede on a per se violation of the order, but wanted to proceed on sentencing or adjudication.
All right, do you want to call your client to the witness stand and place her under oath for any mitigation?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, she may do so.
We call Ms. Sheila Holly to the stand. She's still considered under oath.
No, you'll need to place her under oath.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
And you'll need to speak loudly for me, please.
Yes.
And state your name for the record.
Sheila Holly.
And what is your relationship to the defendant in this case?
I really want to
So-
hear why she says she did it.
And how often have you come to his trials?
I've been here every day for his trials.
So did you understand that per the judge's order, you weren't allowed to have your phone powered on during proceedings?
Yes.
So on this occasion at issue, why did you have your phone on and why was a picture taken?
Well, initially, my anxiety was so bad right before the court proceedings started that I went outside the court to power my phone off because I'm not a real good iPhone user. I don't normally use iPhone that much. While I was out there, the second chair attorney, Ms. Fallon, had came out there to let me know that the proceedings were about to start. I was explaining to her my anxiety was so bad that I just didn't know how to turn off my phone. So she went to my phone and she went into airplane mode. And, you know, she went to settings and then she went to airplane mode. And I said to her, I was like, I thought the phone had to be totally off. And she said, well, you're the mother. You have like a little extra privileges. I forgot the word she actually said, that you have privileges. And I told her, I was like, well, normally my phone is off. She was like, you have provisions actually. So then I came into court. Then I came back into court after she put on airplane mode for me.
But did you see anything in the courtroom that I guess inspired you to take the picture?
I did. It was throughout the trial, several of the jurors were asleep. Right
What?
before I actually took the picture, it was one particular juror that the juror next to her continued to nudge her to wake her up. And she would wake up and then she would go lean to the side and go right back to sleep. So my anxiety was super bad. My son is on trial, you know, where they're trying to take the rest of his life for him. My anxiety was through the roof. I snapped the picture. Immediately after I snapped the picture, I was like, oh my goodness, this is so wrong. I'm not supposed to use the phone, you know. And I was like, okay, I'm going to delete it, you know, immediately delete it. And that was that. I just left it in my phone. I left it in my phone. When I was going to leave out the court, I was going to immediately delete it because I realized, oh my gosh, you're not supposed to take a picture, and especially of, you know, any jurors or whatever. It's just that throughout the trial, several of the jurors were asleep.
So do you have any ill will or harbor any bad feelings regarding the jury or any of the proceedings?
None at all. And I felt totally bad that, you know, I even disrupted the court. Like, that was not my intentions at all, at all. My anxiety was through the roof. Like, my anxiety was really bad.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, I do have some questions for your client. Ms. Holly,
Yes.
you attended both the first jury trial in April as well as the second jury trial in August, correct?
Yes.
And do you acknowledge hearing me repeatedly say multiple times a day throughout the proceedings the court's position regarding cell phones?
Yes, Your Honor.
And did you in fact hear me say that your phone needed to be completely powered off, not just on silent while you were in court?
I heard you say that, yes, Your Honor.
So despite that, you still came into the courtroom with your phone powered on, is that correct?
In airplane mode, yes, Your Honor.
And despite whatever anxiety you may have been feeling, you knew that it was wrong to take a picture of the jurors in court during trial.
Yes, Your Honor.
And at no time did I give you permission to power your phone on in court. Is that correct?
You're correct, Your Honor.
And at no time did I give you permission to either take a picture or have your phone in record mode during the proceedings.
My phone was never in record mode.
Okay, but at any time did I give you permission to do that?
No, Your Honor, you didn't.
All right, I have no further questions. Any redirect, Mr. Smith?
No, Your Honor.
All right, you can step down, ma'am. All right,
It's-
Mr. Smith, I will hear from you if you'll use the podium regarding.
She said that she
any
heard
mitigation
her
evidence.
say
I
all that,
intend to-
but then somebody
give her a
else told
chance to
her
make
that
her
she
way
has
back
more
to the
privileges
table.
because she's the defendant's mom. If there was somebody asleep, that would be in the picture that she took.
Any mitigation regarding consequences, well, let me make a finding first and then have you can stay there. It's going to be a short finding.
Okay.
And then have you respond regarding any mitigation. Upon a consideration of the evidence and all matters of record, I do find beyond a reasonable doubt that Sheila Holly is guilty of indirect criminal contempt of court. I make this finding that she intentionally disregarded a command of the court by having her cell phone powered on without prior permission of the court and by improperly taking a picture of jurors seated in the jury box in the courtroom during court proceedings. I further find that her actions presented a danger to the orderly administration of justice in the trial proceedings. So having her being found guilty, I'll turn to you, Mr. Smith, for any mitigation. Obviously, having made this finding, it is within the court's discretion to impose a fine of $1,000 and or 20 days in confinement. I'll hear from you before I impose sentence.
Thank you, Judge. In any case like this, there are multiple victims. Obviously, there's the family of the victim who deserve all the sympathy and grace and love that the Lord can give us. There's also the family of the accused, because I believe no parent intends to raise their child to end up in a proceeding like this. And having gone through 2 trials and having the stress and the pain of her son fighting for her life, it was an emotional and impulsive act for her to take the picture, because in a proceeding that's this important, it has to be emotionally jarring to see the jury be unengaged, allegedly. But in her mind, the jury was unengaged and her son was fighting for her life. Now, she had no plans to intimidate the jury. There was no indication that she transmitted it to anyone else or made any improper communications with anybody involved in the case. This is just a emotional, impulsive mistake. And we ask that the court take that in consideration when imposing its sentence. She just had to witness her son be gone for at least 10 years, maybe up to 20. And before this sentencing, it could have been life. So I would ask the court not to compound that by sentencing her to confinement and to have to process what she has to process now, just 5 minutes ago, in Gwinnett County Jail.
All right, thank you. Does Ms. Holly want to be heard before I impose sentence? She'll need to come to the podium if she wants to speak.
they're going to have her choose? You think between the...
I'll hear from you, Ms. Holly.
Your Honor, I just want to say that I'm extremely sorry for what I did. I have not stopped thinking about it. I was even remorseful even after I did it. I realized how people would feel about it, and even think about it and think that I would attempt to do anything. And I would never. I actually would never do anything. I was super emotional at the time, just watching some of the jurors be engaged and sleeping several times throughout the trial too. It really put my anxiety through, it really put my anxiety through the roof. The other thing that I did want to say is I had also been really remorseful even towards the family as well. Like, I've had people say to me that, you know, things about the family, and I myself was thinking of how many times I hugged the mother and even what she was going through. Even now during court, I was still telling some of my friends about how I just wanted to hug her and rub her back as I did so many times in the past, even though they feel so terrible about me. I'm just a lighthearted person like that. I feel for the mother. I knew Tori. Tori was in my house numerous times. Like, I totally felt for the mother. I had no ill intentions at all towards the jury whatsoever. And my anxiety was just through the roof. That was it.
You can be seated at the table with your attorney. Give me a moment to formulate the sentence in this matter. I'm going to ask that the court reporter file court's exhibit number 2, the photograph, to file that under seal with the transcript to protect the identity of the jurors that were wrongfully captured in the photograph. And with regard to court's exhibit 1, the cell phone, I'll ask the court reporter to take a photograph of the contents of court's exhibit 1 before I remand that back to the custody of the sheriff. All right, pursuant to my authority under OCGA 15-7-4A5, having found Sheila Holly guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of indirect criminal contempt, I order that she shall purge herself of this contempt by serving 3 days in confinement at the Gwinnett County Detention Center. Ms. Holly will be immediately remanded to the custody of the Gwinnett County Sheriff's Office.
3 days.
And she will be released from custody on Saturday, August 19th at 11:30 a.m. The Sheriff's Department is hereby directed to maintain custody of Ms. Holly's cell phone, which was previously seized by the court on August 9th, until such time as Ms. Holly is released from custody on Saturday, August 19th. Thereupon, the Sheriff's Department shall release and return the cell phone to Ms. Holly upon her release from the detention center on Saturday, August 19th. I need a few moments to prepare that order for the sheriff to take both Ms. Holly into custody and to maintain possession of her cell phone. But that is the order of the court. Ms. Holly is remanded to the custody of the sheriff. That concludes this hearing. Thank you.
Well, hi, Mama. I'm glad that happened, though, because could you imagine being one of the jurors? That's, that she needs to sit in jail for a few days. It's like adult timeout and think about what you've done. So I think that's it. All right, what time is it? 10:28, which means the other court starts in about 2 hours. I have to show y'all. We're gonna it's the adult timeout for me. So currently, Recovery Addict is streaming. You know, he
She
streams
can be vicious.
in the
Get Lucy
afternoon.
Cam back.
Look, he's streaming our stuff.
Normal.
From
She's like,
yesterday.
get out of my face and leave me alone and let me.
Oops.
Okay, Brandi, I can't help but think you're
Let
ignoring my
me
questions.
rest. Let me live. There she goes. Such a little doll. He's streaming our stuff.
Okay.
Back on
So I'm so loud. So they pulled the law and crime stream from yesterday for whatever reason. So he couldn't get it. So he's streaming our stream from yesterday. And normally, you know how I am. I did the same thing when the lawyer used my stream. And I just sit here and react and talk to y'all and tell you whatever I'm thinking. And it's funny because I don't think about what I'm saying. I just react. It's just like I'm hanging out with, anywhere from like 400 to 1,200 of my closest friends at any point in time and, hanging out and reacting. So I don't think about it. And I don't go back and watch the stream because who wants to watch themselves? And so then RA's I told him, since he couldn't find it, I was like, yeah, use my stream today. And I have been sitting here because I've got it on one screen, but I have to have it muted, of course, so I can listen. And I've sat here cringing the whole time thinking, like, what all did I say yesterday? Because yesterday was my long day. So I know I was super spicy in the afternoon, which is the part that they're watching. So, and every time I see my hands going on the screen, I'm like, oh my gosh, what did I say? There's no telling. So he is streaming right now. I think he might be about done. I was going to see. Let me see. I'll just redirect us over there just in case. So we can all watch in horror as we see whatever it is I'm saying. It's funny though, because I forgot about this. I forgot that I sang. Somebody reminded me of this, and now I was like, oh yeah. Oops. Oh yeah. Totally forgot that I sang in chat. And not in chat. And I was singing a lullaby to Tommy so that he would fall asleep and hit his head. Oops. That's okay. I'm going to portal us over there. We can hang out with him for the rest of his stream, and then we will get started here. Yeah, because you fell asleep. Because I was singing. I was go to sleep. Totally forgot about it, and now they're going to watch it over there, and I'm going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm a little teapot. That was yesterday too, wasn't it? Oh, they're getting like the worst of the worst highlight reels from yesterday. But that's okay. Whatever. It is what it is. I'm going to portal us over there so we can hang out with him for the rest of his chat, and I will cringe as I'm watching myself. And then I will see y'all. Court starts at 10:30 Pacific time, so we will start about half an hour before. We'll start about 10 o'clock. So about an hour and a half, I think is what that is. 10:30, 11:30. Yeah, about an hour and a half. So I will see y'all over there, and then I will see you this afternoon. Thank you for reporting to jury duty. I'll see you in a minute.